All right, so I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina, middle America, right? This is a representation of outside of LA, outside of New York. This is average, and I'm not saying it in a bad way, I'm saying it in a good way. Average, middle America, typical branding. I'm out at a bar in the suburbs watching the UFC 207 card. Ronda Rousey fighting this girl, I don't even know what her name was. Amanda Nunez. My driver here is.
What up?
All right. He's helping me, okay. Because he's an MMA guy, I'm not. And I admit that fully. But I felt I should do a little rant video and talking about this because I noticed some things. And there's some things here that boxing could do a better job of. I'm at this bar and I noticed that the majority of the clientele, and you guys know me, I keep it real, it is what it is. The majority of the clientele is Anglo-Saxons, middle America, Anglo males. There's a little bit of this, a little bit of that, you know, but that's pretty much what it is. And these guys are excited to see this fight. It's a pay-per-view. I think it costs $59.99 to get the HD, but at this bar it was free cover, no cover, right? When's the last boxing pay-per-view you went to where there was no fucking cover? Where it wasn't 20 bucks or more just to get in the door? I didn't mean to make that rhyme, I'm not trying to rap here. But with this card, I noticed that the place was full for the undercard. Not just the main event. There was a crowd in there to see the undercard, and these MMA fans knew who these guys were. Some of these undercard fighters, not all of them, but some of them. And they came out to see the undercard fighters as well. And when the main event came up, I was amazed to see two female fighters going at it, and a bunch of dudes basically coming out to this bar, driving out here, paying for drinks, this, that, the other thing, to watch two girls fight. And I try to think, when's the last time I saw this in boxing? Guys coming out to watch two girls fight. It doesn't happen, right? And this was, I believe, at T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. And I understand, Ronda Rousey was a brand in MMA, right? But you have to admit this. It's a female fighter. And when you compare that to boxing, you don't see that as much. And when you compare the pay-per-view structure, the way it is in boxing, the way the licensing fees work with the bars, it costs so much more to pay for a pay-per-view for a bar, they have to charge a cover. So here I am at this bar at this little suburban town in the middle of nowhere, and there's a huge crowd to see this fight because it's free. All you're paying for is your drinks, your food, whatever. That's a big thing that UFC has over boxing. And I think it's something that boxing can take a page from and learn from. The actual fight itself, you see Ronda Rousey, she's such a brand. She was so built up. Remember, she was in movies. She won ESPN, the ESPY Fighter of the Year, right? And now I know a lot of that was marketing, it was the feminist agenda, it was the Hillary Clinton campaign, all of that shit, all combined into it. I did videos about this and I got a lot of flack for it, for telling the truth. That's what I do. But here she comes out in this fight against a scrub. And I'm not trying to diss this Nunez chick. She worked very hard, she was in shape for this fight. I admit I don't know much about MMA, but I could tell they set this up as a fight for Ronda Rousey to win. She was so mentally shook. She had zero head movement. She had her hands down by her side. Her chin was up. She wasn't moving her head. And this chick knocked her out with about 5 or 6 slaps. There wasn't one hard power punch. Not one. It was a bunch of slaps to the head. Ronda Rousey was down. Bam, the ref called it off. And that was it. I believe it was 48 seconds into that first round, the fight was called off. Here's the thing. These fans that were at this bar watching this fight for free, They were paying for drinks, paying for this, that. Nobody was upset. Everyone was cheering like, oh my God, what a performance by Nunez. What a show. Nobody felt ripped off. Nobody felt upset. And for me as an outsider who doesn't know shit about MMA, I saw the stare down. I knew how this fight was gonna go. I said, oh my God, Ronda Rousey looks tight. This guy will tell you right here, I said it. Ronda Rousey looks tight. This other girl looks relaxed. Ronda needs a round. She needs to cover the fuck up and loosen up. She didn't do that. She got knocked out. I called the shit right away once I saw it. I thought they set it up for Ronda to win, but once I saw what was happening in the first 10 seconds, the writing was on the wall. But I noticed these MMA fans were so ignorant to what was being basically sold to them. It was a bill of goods, and they were buying it, and they were happy with the product they received. And for all these people, who knows what this MMA or this pay-per-view did, $59.95, whatever, maybe it did 500,000, maybe it didn't do that much, I don't know. We'll find out. But I get a feeling based on the sampling I had at this bar that the people were happy with the product they received. And I'm asking, how many boxing pay-per-views lately have boxing fans who, let's admit, and maybe I'm a little biased, but let's be real here, are a little more astute, are a little more schooled, are a little more knowledgeable about what they're seeing. But how many pay-per-views have boxing fans seen recently where they felt they were getting their money's worth? Not as many as MMA. And a lot of these MMA fans thought they were seeing the best fight the best, even though you had a girl coming off a knockout loss and a 1+ year layoff fighting this other girl. But they really felt they were getting the best versus the best. And it's like, what is MMA doing that is making their fans so happy and the feeling that they're getting their money's worth versus boxing? And one of the first things I noticed was at this bar where you talk to the bartenders, the bar manager, and they're like, look, dude, the licensing fees for this are 1/5 of what we would pay for a Kovalev Ward, let's say. It's so much cheaper. We don't have to charge a cover. These guys come in. A lot of these guys don't even come in. They're not even fight fans, but there's a fight on TV and they get interested and they start watching. And that's how the UFC builds fans. Because even these undercard fights, which were much better than the main event, that's what's building the fans who are there just eating hot wings and drinking beer and shit, watching college football. Boom, on this TV over here on the left, there's this fight going on, and they get interested. And suddenly they become a fan of that fighter. And then when that fighter fights on a pay-per-view, they buy that pay-per-view. It's ingenious. It's what boxing used to do back in the day, and they've fallen short of that recently. And I'm asking you guys, what can we do to fix this? Because the product I watched tonight, and I admit, I'm a little biased. I'm a connoisseur. I felt tonight like a NFL football fan watching college football. That's what MMA is compared to boxing. It's comparing college football to NFL football. And that's just how I feel. And you could call me a snob, you MMA guys, fine. I'm not trying to hate. I respect those dudes because they're tough people who get in there and give it their all, and I respect that shit. But the skills, when Joe Rogan's saying, oh, this guy's a boxing expert, and he was 35-1 as an amateur boxer, yeah, in Sacramento, California, in a fucking church league, that doesn't mean shit. And we know that in boxing. Anyone can fucking do that, right? But they market this shit a certain way, and their fans believe it, and I go to this bar and I just watch how this middle America crowd eats this shit up, and they feel they're getting their money's worth when they're being totally fucking had. They're being ripped off and they don't even realize it. What are we doing wrong? And what can we do better to better service our fans? And what is it that our promoters and the networks don't get? Why can't we change the licensing fees? Why can't we break that Mayweather pay-per-view model and do a better job of bringing pay-per-views to bars across Middle America, not just New York and LA and Detroit and Chicago and Philadelphia, but Charlotte, North Carolina, Atlanta, Georgia, Jacksonville, Florida, Dallas, Texas, Middle America, small towns like that. Bringing these cards to those people and building up this brand. What are we doing wrong? How can we make it better? I want to hear what you guys got to say about this. Obviously, this is a rant video. It's not the most rehearsed shit ever. I'm driving in this car. But seeing this tonight got my brain going. And you guys know the way my brain works. I got to work this shit out with you. Let me know what you think. Comment, like, share, subscribe. You know the deal. I'll see you at the fights.